Have you ever felt completely surrounded by a darkness? That moment when enemies seem to close in from every direction and you feel like you're drowning in your own despair? In the ancient world, around 1010 BCE, a warrior king found himself in this exact position. Hunted, exhausted, and pushed to his breaking point. His name was David, and the words he wrote in that moment have echoed through millennia, bringing comfort to countless souls in their darkest hours. What was his secret to survival? How did he overcome when everything seemed lost? The answer lies in what would later become known as Psalm 18, one of the most powerful testimonies of divine deliverance ever recorded. Today, we're going to explore this remarkable ancient text and discover how its message transcends time, speaking directly to our modern struggles. Psalm 18 was written approximately 3,000 years ago. The Hebrew text describes it as being composed by David when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. Scholars date this period to the tumultuous years between 1011 to 1008 BCE during David's transition from fugitive to king. What makes this psalm extraordinary is that it appears twice in the biblical canon, once in the book of Psalms and again, almost word for word, in 2 Samuel 22. This dual inclusion speaks to its profound significance in ancient Israelite tradition. Let's begin our journey through this ancient text, starting with David's passionate opening declaration. I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Notice the intimate nature of this opening. This isn't formal religious language, it's deeply personal. The Hebrew word used for love here is rakim, which conveys tender, emotional attachment. It's the same word used to describe a mother's love for her child. In the ancient Near East, where deities were typically approached with fearful reverence, this expression of intimate affection was revolutionary. As the psalm continues, David plunges us into the chaos of his darkest moment. The cords of death entangled me, the torrents of destruction overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me, the snares of death confronted me. The imagery here is visceral and terrifying. David portrays death as an active hunter using ropes and snares to trap him. The word translated as torrents, nakal, in Hebrew specifically refers to the flash floods common in the Judean wilderness. Anyone who has witnessed these sudden, violent waters knows how quickly they can transform peaceful wadis into deadly channels of destruction. Archaeological findings from this period show that the threats David faced were very real. Excavations at sites like Khirbet Qiyafah have uncovered defensive fortifications dating to precisely this era, physical evidence of the violent conflict that characterized David's rise to power. In my distress I called to the Lord, I cried to my God for help. From his temple he heard my voice, my cry came before him, into his ears. Here we see David's response to overwhelming danger, a desperate cry for help. The Hebrew word for distress is zar, which literally means narrowness or constriction. It perfectly captures that feeling of being trapped, of running out of options. The ancient Israelites believed that calling on God's name established a real connection, opening a channel of communication between earth and heaven. What happens next is one of the most spectacular divine responses in ancient literature. The earth trembled and quaked, and the foundations of the mountains shook. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils, consuming fire came from his mouth, burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down, dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew, he soared on the wings of the wind. This theophany, a visible manifestation of God, draws on powerful natural phenomena familiar to anyone living in the seismically active regions of the Middle East. The Jordan Rift Valley, which runs through Israel, is part of a major fault line where the African and Arabian tectonic plates meet. Earthquakes were common and terrifying experiences, often interpreted as divine activity. The imagery of smoke, fire, and dark clouds would have been particularly resonant for people familiar with volcanic activity. While there are no active volcanoes in Israel today, volcanic basalt fields in the north of the country attest to prehistoric volcanic activity. And eruptions from more distant volcanoes in the Mediterranean region would have been part of cultural memory. He made darkness his covering, his canopy around him, the dark rain clouds of the sky. Out of the brightness of his presence clouds advanced, with hailstones and bolts of lightning. The Lord thundered from heaven, the voice of the Most High resounded. In the ancient Near East, storms were often associated with divine power. The Canaanite storm deity Baal was worshipped throughout the region, but in this psalm, these natural forces served the God of Israel instead. Thunder was particularly significant, often described as the voice of God in ancient Hebrew literature. Meteorological records confirm that the Judean highlands, where David often hid from Saul, experienced dramatic thunderstorms, especially during winter months. These powerful natural phenomena would have made perfect metaphors for divine intervention. He shot his arrows and scattered the enemies, great bolts of lightning, and routed them. The valleys of the sea were exposed, and the foundations of the earth laid bare at your rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of breath from your nostrils. This vivid battle imagery portrays God as a divine warrior fighting on David's behalf. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous arrowheads dating to this period throughout Israel, grim reminders of the constant warfare that characterized the establishment of the Davidic kingdom around 1000 BCE. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me. They confronted me in the day of my disaster, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a spacious place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. The metaphor of being drawn from deep waters resonates with ancient Near Eastern mythology, where cosmic waters often represented chaos and death. In Mesopotamian mythology, the creation of the world involved the defeat of watery chaos. By using this imagery, David places his personal deliverance within a cosmic framework. The phrase spacious place contrasts sharply with the earlier distress narrowness. David has moved from constriction to freedom, from danger to safety. Historical records and archaeological findings confirm that David's rise from shepherd to king was indeed remarkable, defying the normal social hierarchies of ancient Israelite society. The Lord has dealt with me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands he has rewarded me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, I am not guilty of turning from my God. All his laws are before me, I have not turned away from his decrees. I have been blameless before him and have kept myself from sin. The Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his sight. Here David introduces a theme that has troubled many readers through the centuries, the connection between his righteousness and God's deliverance. Is he claiming moral perfection? Historical context helps us understand this section better. In the covenant relationship between Israel and God, established around 1446 BCE at Mount Sinai, according to biblical chronology, faithfulness to God was emphasized over moral perfection. When David speaks of his righteousness, he's referring primarily to his loyalty to God, not claiming sinlessness. This becomes clearer in the next section, where David elaborates on the reciprocal nature of God's relationship with humanity. To the faithful you show yourself faithful, to the blameless you show yourself blameless, to the pure you show yourself pure, but to the devious you show yourself shrewd. You save the humble but bring low those whose eyes are haughty. This passage reflects the ancient Near Eastern concept of divine retribution, that divine beings respond to humans according to their own actions. Similar ideas appear in Egyptian wisdom literature from the same period, suggesting this was a widely held belief across cultures. You, Lord, keep my lamp burning, my God turns my darkness into light. With your help I can advance against a troop, with my God I can scale a wall. David moves from past deliverance to present empowerment. The lamp metaphor is particularly significant in an ancient world without electric lighting. Oil lamps discovered in archaeological excavations from this period are small clay vessels that require constant attention and replenishment. In the same way, David acknowledges his ongoing dependence on divine sustenance. As for God, his way is perfect, the Lord's word is flawless, he shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is the rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. This section uses military imagery that would have resonated deeply in the violent context of ancient Israel's formation as a nation. Between 1200 to 1000 BCE, the region experienced significant military conflict as various groups, including the Philistines, Amalekites, and Israelite tribes, fought for territorial control. Archaeological evidence from this period shows destruction layers at numerous sites, confirming the biblical accounts of widespread warfare. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer, he causes me to stand on the heights. He trains my hands for battle, my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You make your saving help my shield, and your right hand sustains me, your help has made me great. You provide a broad path for my feet, so that my ankles do not give way. The reference to deer's feet speaks to the incredible agility of mountain gazelles native to the Judean hills, animals that can navigate treacherous terrain with remarkable surefootedness. Anyone who has hiked through the rugged wilderness where David hid from Saul understands why this metaphor would be so powerful. The bronze bow reference is particularly interesting from a historical perspective. Bronze was being gradually replaced by iron technology during David's lifetime around 1000 BCE, a technological transition confirmed by archaeological findings across the region. Bronze was still used for specialized purposes, and a bronze bow would represent the height of military technology, something only the elite could possess. I pursued my enemies and overtook them. I did not turn back till they were destroyed. I crushed them so that they could not rise. They fell beneath my feet. You armed me with strength for battle. You humbled my adversaries before me. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight, and I destroyed my foes. They cried for help, but there was no one to save them, to the Lord, but he did not answer. I beat them as fine as wind-blown dust. I trampled them like mud in the streets. This uncompromising military language reflects the brutal reality of ancient warfare. Archaeological evidence from this period includes weapons, defensive structures, and human remains bearing marks of violent conflict. The transition from tribal confederacy to unified monarchy under David around 1000 BCE was achieved largely through military conquest. The imagery of enemies being reduced to dust carried particular significance in ancient Near Eastern military contexts. Victory monuments from Egypt, Assyria, and other neighboring powers commonly depict conquered enemies being trampled underfoot, a powerful symbol of complete domination. You have delivered me from the attacks of the people. You have made me the head of nations. People I did not know now serve me. Foreigners cower before me. As soon as they hear of me, they obey me. They all lose heart. They come trembling from their strongholds. Historical records outside the Bible provide some confirmation of David's expanding influence. The Tel Dan stele, discovered in 1993 and dating to the 9th century BCE, contains the earliest non-biblical reference to the House of David, confirming the existence of David's dynasty shortly after his reign. The archaeological record shows significant expansion of Israelite control during this period, with new administrative centers and fortifications appearing throughout the region. David transformed Israel from a loose tribal confederation into a regional power, exactly the kind of dramatic rise described in the psalm. The Lord lives. Praise be to my rock. Exalted be God my Savior. He is the God who avenges me, who subdues nations under me, who saves me from my enemies. You exalted me above my foes, from a violent man you rescued me. As David approaches the conclusion of his song, he returns to praise. The declaration, "The Lord lives," stands in direct contrast to the beliefs of surrounding cultures, where gods were often associated with seasonal cycles of death and rebirth. The God of Israel is portrayed as eternally alive and active in human history. Therefore, I will praise you, Lord. Among the nations, I will sing the praises of your name. He gives his king great victories. He shows unfailing love to his anointed, to David and to his descendants forever. The psalm concludes with David's commitment to public praise. The phrase, "among the nations," is significant, pointing to David's international influence. Archaeological findings confirm extensive trade networks during this period, with Israelite goods reaching as far as Cyprus and Egypt. David's testimony would indeed have had an international audience. The final reference to David's descendants forever foreshadows the covenant God made with David, promising an eternal dynasty. This promise, recorded in 2 Samuel 7 and dated to approximately 995 BCE, became the foundation for messianic hope in later Jewish tradition and ultimately influenced Christian theology regarding Jesus as the promised Davidic king. As we conclude our exploration of Psalm 18, it's worth asking, what does this ancient text offer us today, 3 millennia after it was written? In our modern world, we may not face physical armies or hide in wilderness caves, but we still encounter overwhelming challenges, financial crises, health scares, relationship breakdowns, global pandemics. The feeling of being surrounded, of drowning in circumstances beyond our control, remains a universal human experience. David's testimony reminds us that there is always hope even in the darkest moments. His words have survived for 3,000 years because they speak to something fundamental in the human condition, our need for deliverance, for someone greater than ourselves to intervene when our own strength fails. Whether you approach this psalm as sacred scripture or ancient poetry, its message is powerful. We don't have to face life's battles alone. Like David, we can call out for help and find ourselves brought into a spacious place, a place of freedom, possibility, and renewed purpose. As you face your own challenges, remember David's journey from the cave to the crown, from desperation to deliverance. Perhaps his ancient words can become your modern lifeline. I love you, O Lord, my strength. This has been an exploration of Psalm 18, a timeless testimony of deliverance that continues to inspire hope across cultures and generations. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of history's most powerful expressions of faith in the midst of adversity. Before you go, I want to personally invite you to be part of our growing community here at Prayer Universe. If this video touched your heart or brought you peace, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a prayer or message that can uplift your spirit. But most importantly, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, share just one word or phrase of motivation that this video inspired in you, whether it's hope, gratitude, peace, or something else. Your words matter deeply to us because they help guide the content we create for this channel. Together, let's build a space filled with faith, encouragement, and connection. Thank you for being here, and remember, every prayer counts. See you in the next one.